was contacted by Pictek a few weeks back to check out their gaming keyboard. The box came within a bigger box to ensure that there would be no damage inflicted upon the keyboard itself, which was quite nice. The packing wasn't bad either. So they're definitely going out of their way to make sure that your items aren't damaged in any way during shipping. It comes with a standardized manual that tells you the FN keys for lighting, profiles, etc. There's a multitude to choose from, the usual shooter, MMO, MOBA, etc. It comes with the 104 key anti-ghosting. It's a backlit keyboard. It's pretty much the standard fare for the knockoff MX clone keyboards. And usually they all sort of follow certain tropes. They either use Udamin keys or Gatron keys. Really what they all boil down to is personal preference, because each one has a different aesthetic look at the end of the day. Some come with braided USB cables. This one did not, disappointingly. But the design seems more geared towards the gaming audience. This is completely a gamer style keyboard, which could be a good thing if you're looking for something more garish and outlandish. Not so much if you want something that's a bit more laid back, a little less in your face. This keyboard is also waterproof, or I should say water resistant more likely. It comes with 5 drain holes. The one thing that the Asian market has mastered that the more name brand companies are finally coming around to slowly. I hear Corsair just put out a water resistant keyboard finally. The Asian market has been doing this for a while, which is a plus if you tend to be really accident prone, or if you have cats that are dickheads and you leave liquid drinks next to your expensive keyboard. But this isn't expensive, so you wouldn't have that issue to begin with. It comes with cherry blue style switches, or cherry blue clones. One of my personal favorites. Cherry blues in general, honestly, even the clones are good. And depending on who you talk to or what form you're on, the Gatron or Udamin keys are just as good as Cherry MXs. But once again, that's all subjective to people's personal preferences. This keyboard has an ergonomic design with palm and wrist rest to prevent fatigue. This also supports pretty much every Windows OS. I don't know if it'll work for Linux or anything. The Cherry Blue switch clones are said to have 50 million keystrokes of lifespan over membrane counterparts. The FN plus Windows key is set to lock the Windows key to keep you from accidentally hitting that pop-up button while you're in the middle of gaming. And the FN key also initiates everything else on the board that has to do with lighting, whether dimming or brightening, different light patterns, snake pattern, game mode, whether it's MOBAs to RPGs. The FN key is where you get to change things up a bit. All the keys are removable. All the Asian manufacturers are kind enough to give you a key puller, but pretty much I think every keyboard does now, except for Logitech keyboards. They don't do that now that I think about it. And I figured it would be cool to once again compare a real Cherry MX key versus the clone keys, and you find that there's a bit more plastic housing on the inside. It truly encompasses the whole thing. The lettering on the keys isn't bad, but I'd say I'd give the nod towards the MX. The clones don't have that clean look. There are also rubber feet on the back, and you'll notice a sticker that gives you the month and year of when the keyboard was made. The wrist rest, it's hard plastic. Now, I was going to deduct points for this until I started pulling out my other keyboard, the Logitech keyboard, which is 3 or 4 times the price, and it was also plastic. I'm not fond of how hard plastic hand rests at all. I come to really appreciate this soft rubber. It's more forgiving on the hands, but you can't really take away points from that because the keyboard is really cheap. There are also some lighting accents that are added probably for only aesthetic values. Sort of like to give that, boom in your face, this is gaming, zam, pow, eat it. The one thing that you will notice with all of the Asian market keyboards is that the color scheme is usually the same. There is no full RGB, and that's the downside of the whole thing. That's the big knock. But on the other hand, you have to keep into account that this is a fully mechanical keyboard. And anything from the big manufacturers at the same price point isn't fully mechanical. They may give you some form of RGB, but it isn't really great RGB. It's like that cheap Lackluster Rgb on a membrane keyboard, which you can find with the Corsair K55. And frankly, if I had to choose between a membrane keyboard and this, I'd fucking take this any day of the week. Also, I decided to take it upon myself to pull out a keyboard that I'm not using, the G910. I have two of them actually. My first one that broke, and the replacement Logitech sent me. I noticed that Logitech took away the extra wrist rest, which really sucked. I'll talk about that some other time. But I figured I'd do a direct comparison. One keyboard that's $49, but if you use whatever code they gave me, it'll be cheaper for you. I don't get paid for that, by the way. Just so you know, you're not putting any money in my pocket. Don't think I'm doing this and like, if you use this discount code, I get paid. That's not the case. But anyway, I wanted to make a note of showing off this keyboard, which is $49, versus the Logitech G910, which is still $119. I found, as I found before when I used the mechanical keyboard from the Asian market, to be superior to the Logitech. The Cherry MX Blue clone is just so much better. The feel, the snap. I do like the clicks, but there's like, it's like this feeling. It's like you hit the tech and it comes back to you like bam, bam. It feels faster, more fluid. I have far more confidence that my input would go in like that on this keyboard. Whereas with the Logitech, I didn't have that same confidence. I didn't get that same reassurance. I didn't get that same feel. In fact, the Logitech felt slow to me in comparison. And I want you to know that I used a new keyboard. This is the first time I've taken this keyboard out of the box and out of the wrapper. It is not old. It's not worn. It is no dust on it. Nothing. It's fully new. And I found it to be sluggish in comparison to the Cherry MX Blue clones. I guess the only thing you could say that the Roam Rgs are comparable to is the Cherry MX Browns or the Brown clones.
I think you know that one.
I have a brown keyboard in the other room. I used it and I still liked it better than the Roam Rg. Maybe it's just personal preference on my end. Between the two, the better buy for simple use is the Asian market keyboard. As much as I don't want to sound shillish or anything, but it's the truth. I mean, the one big thing Logitech has is the macro keys, the dedicated audio controls, which I like a lot, and it also has different stages like M1, M2, M3, M5, like different memory stages, so you could have multiple macros on the Logitech keyboard. That's the big get for that one. If only Logitech just made this an MX keyboard, man, it would have been legit. Now, I'm not saying that the blue keyboards from Asia are that like the be all end all. In all honesty, I prefer my Corsair K95 MX speeds over the clone blues, which I liked for a while. So, there's something just to sort of keep things in line to let you know that I'm just not saying whatever to seem like I'm kissing up to any company. And on that note, I should get the hell out of here, simply because I've probably went way past all of my footage, and yeah, I'm a douchebag. Rate, comment, subscribe if you so choose to. If not, to hell with it. You know how it is. I can't expect anyone to give a crap in the age of apathy, and that is for sure. But the more of you that follow me, it makes me a little bit more respected in a community that could use a good swift kick in the ass if you ask me. Time to go feed my cat. Adios, bichachos.